Hello, welcome into another episode of Guerilla Sports Off Ice. My name is Jesse Montano. I got Meghan Angley with me here today, Tuesday afternoon. Got a fun show, and this show is presented by Trusted American Mortgage. Trusted American salary-based mortgage consultants want to help you get into a better interest rate and lower your monthly payment. Go to trustedamerican.com or scan the QR code on the screen. See how much money they can save you today. Hello and welcome in.
Please do not leave your luggage unattended on the station.
Welcome to the show.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us for a Tuesday Off Ice show. First of all, I'd like to shout out Jesse for a second.
Oh, no.
Late night, 11:30, midnight for the game last night. You come in, you do the daily show.
Yeah.
Now you're back on for the Off Ice show. It's been just a nonstop grind for you this season. You're working really hard to make Guerilla Sports great. And I wanted to shout you out. Thank you for entertaining a silly holiday show with me today.
Well, I was actually even going to say I didn't get the memo before. Now I look like an idiot. I don't have any antlers.
To be fair, this all came together kind of last minute. We had a more serious topic planned
We
for
did.
today, But because you've been doing so much, I didn't want you to feel thrown into the gauntlet on a heavy topic. So we're going to keep it light today.
Well, I first of all, I very much appreciate the kind words, and that's why we do it, though, right? Like, this is all the stuff this is the fun part of the job that I really enjoy doing, and you make it even more fun, Meghan.
Okay,
So,
all right.
So thank you. It's genuinely, I had fun last night. We had a fun show last night.
It was fun. The result was not fun.
We had to find something to be fun because the game was, like, result aside, that was just a boring game.
Yeah.
Like when Kiefer Sherwood is like
don't want to hear it.
the runaway standout of the game, it's like, oh my gosh, what happened? So we had to find some way to have some fun. So thank you, Meghan, for making this job more fun.
Thank you for being here. We can start the show by revisiting the teddy bear toss this past week.
Wait, hold on. I am going to cut you off because you said this came in. Did you have those antlers like in your car? How prepared were you?
I have a costume trunk.
Just in the car?
I think you should not in the car. No. Before I left, I went into the costume trunk, and I think you've mentioned Hannah has one.
She
so
does.
You don't even get to laugh that hard because I'm allowed to have antlers. We're going to be
You are allowed.
digging into what the Avs need for Christmas this year, and I will be Santa's reindeer helping to deliver some of these gifts. We'll also be diving into some New Year's resolutions that we think the Avs should adopt.
Yep.
And it'll kind of be a fun way of looking into maybe some areas that we still want this team to improve on going into the new year and some of the challenges that they face getting to this point in the hockey season. Do you have any new thoughts after last night's game? Sleeping on it a bit? Do you feel any differently?
About the game last night or about the Avs as a whole?
Either way, I mean, if you came to some bigger picture conclusions after last night, definitely share with the guys.
I had a revelatory sleep, Meghan. No. We are entering the point of the season where the consistency's got to get figured out. It just does. There was so much conversation, rightfully, about the goaltending. And again, there's even a lot of numbers that say, yes, the goaltending was the problem in the early part of the season. You don't have that excuse anymore. Management went out and made a big move. In terms of splashy things that this team might do to help, it's pretty much done.
Yeah.
Maybe a couple more depth adds when you get into, closer to the deadline, maybe a bottom six guy, maybe a depth defenseman. But for the most part, health aside, this is the group. This is the group that you've got. You and I were both fine saying we'll chalk up the game last night to nobody was feeling well, or at least a large portion of them were not feeling well. So, okay, write that off. You got to stop the roller coaster. You got to stop the roller coaster at some point. You have every excuse now to do that. I have full confidence that this Avalanche team will. But that was a disappointing game last night, and I think you drew the parallel to the Carolina game from a week or two ago. I don't even know what days are anymore at this point, especially with these road trips, 4-game trip, 5-game trip, 3-game trip. I'm losing track of it all. But we're just like, stop with the duds.
Yeah.
They had a dud when they got back home. They had a dud last night when they went back out on the road. Just stop. We need one non-egg laid every week. And that's what I just feel like the Avs are still doing too much of this.
I think that's a really great way to boil it down. And a lot of great New Year's resolutions can be born from that too, on what they need to focus on moving forward. But I agree with you. It's not so much the loss by itself, because they're going to lose more hockey games this year.
Totally.
It's how they lose them that I'm a little bit frustrated with at times. So I can't wait to dig into some of the New Year's resolutions. But before we do, we're going to look back on the teddy bear toss this past weekend. It was such a cool opportunity. Some of you may have listened last night. We talked a little bit about it, but the Colorado Eagles host the teddy bear toss every year, and they added a new charity partner, but it benefits wild elves and Realities for Children. There's a fundraising component, as well as the toy drive angle in the toys that get thrown onto the ice after the first goal for the Eagles is scored. All of those toys get washed, cleaned up, and then sent back to children just in time for the holiday. Mm-hmm. And Realities for Children actually does the gift giving all year long. So it's not even just specific to the holiday season. If you saw how many toys were there, 10,000 estimated, because some of them are pretty small. So I imagine that number could fall even higher than that.
Totally.
That's a lot of toys to get in the hands of children in northern Colorado before the holiday season. So there's lots of gift giving that can happen all year long. So it's such a unique event, and it's a great way for the Colorado Eagles to strengthen their role in the community and also help to bolster two great causes in Wild Elves and Realities for Children. So if we have the video handy, I'd love to show people what that on-ice perspective was like.
We do. And before we go to it, I just want to ask you, because I think especially if you're a hockey fan, you've seen the teddy bear toss, done it. And what's so awesome is that there's several teams that do it now.
Yeah.
Among the different leagues, I believe the Hershey Bears were the first to do it. It's always been a really cool thing to see on TV. And I think I was even telling you and Jay, like, a hat trick, you get that big flood right away, and then there's some trickle in. It's not the case with the teddy bear toss. They just keep coming. What was it like to be there for one, let alone on the ice?
Even though it unfolds over the span of a few minutes, there was this feeling of not wanting to miss a second of it. So I was almost panicking and rushing, like I need to absorb every second of it. I don't want to miss a thing.
The way you're doing this, man, I need to pick up as many bears as I can.
Stealing the toys. No, and just to have that on ice perspective was so unique, because I've been in the stands before watching the Bears be thrown from that angle, and it is such a cool thing to see. It's hockey in such a different lens, and the players seem to love it. The fans obviously do too. They come with trash bags filled with toys. It's just so fun.
I was very jealous that you guys got to be out there, but we'll go ahead and roll the video.
This game's always special, and just for everybody involved, and the thoughts where it goes to, and everybody gets to have a lot of fun, and probably the only goal you get to celebrate for about 10 minutes. So it's great.
Every one of these stuffed animals gets into the hands of a child. When a fan throws them out on the ice, it literally lands in the hands of a child that has faced abuse, neglect, domestic violence, or at risk in our community. When I see the Bears, I think I don't even see teddy bears or stuffed animals. I honestly see smiles. I see hope. I see an opportunity that we get to give this to a child.
And I heard the players pulled together to make a donation of their own personally to Realities for Children. Why was it important to make that donation as a team?
I think just show our support, and our captain, Jason Magna, just let us know what was going on. It was all voluntary, and everybody stepped up.
Whether it's a newborn to 19-year-old high school senior, we'll go in. Even if it's somebody like a teddy bear that they can hug that's soft, they know somebody cares about them. There is no better feeling than going to somebody's home. Merry Christmas, we thought of your kiddos, and, they'll give you a hug. A lot of times these are the kids that only see the uniform and they see us taking mom or dad to jail. So if we can step in this role and go, here you go, here's something special just for you. It makes a huge difference.
I love the teddy bear waving there at the end. An unbelievable cause. That is the best part about it. Not only is it a cool spectacle to see, and you can assume that they get donated, but especially like you pointed out, the partners that they are partnered with. I hate that. The organizations that they're partnered with this time of year. You were just saying to me, trying to change the perception of the way that they see sometimes authority figures in the community, little kids, that is. And it's just such a great moment when not only you get to see it, but you understand the meaning behind it.
Yeah, I love that it benefits the community so directly. The
Mhm.
community that they play in front of in Blue Arena, weekend after weekend, is benefiting from this. It's going into the hands of children and families in Northern Colorado. And something about that makes it extra special too, then, to see the community support from the fans rallying behind it too. I think it says a lot about the Eagles organization, but also the fans who support that team, that they can all get so excited about it.
Yeah, and like you said, it's when everybody buys in, and it's not like, oh, a handful of people brought a bear. Seems like 10,000, that arena seats under 6. So you assume at least everyone brought one bear, and most people brought more than one.
Yes, some giant ones.
I just love that.
Stacy asks about Ty Felliber. This
so
was perfect timing.
I didn't know if you wanted to get to that one yet, but my first thought when I saw the call up was, we just talked to him last night on the ice.
Friend of the show.
Yeah, exactly. This was the case, just real quick on Felliber, because they did announce the 2-year deal for him.
Yes.
And then the next day he was called up. He did not have an NHL deal. Now he does.
Yep. Came in on just an American League contract and definitely has gone through a path in hockey to get here. A lot of time spent in the East Coast League before getting to the American League. And so it's a pretty cool accomplishment at 26 years old to sign an NHL contract and then get that call-up opportunity. And I look at what he's been doing with the Eagles this year, and it makes a lot of sense. And then even just the brief interview on the ice, you get a little bit of a feel for the player, and you can just see why there's a cultural fit too.
Yeah.
This guy is the prototypical hockey player, just so kind, so warm, like made a point to introduce himself to me. And also the way that he plays hockey fits what Colorado is looking to do. So kind of similarly, Chris Wagner placed on waivers today.
Yep.
I think roster flexibility, but also realistically probably reassignment is at the end of this too. I think he's done nice things for the Avs in being the next man up, but with Giovanni Smith still there, not having been reassigned, it did feel like they were carrying kind of a lot on this road trip, and maybe could stand to reassign at least one player. I like Ty Felliber's debut too. I thought, for a fourth line, did what he needed to do, and I could see him getting a little bit more of a look if some guys are still a little bit under the weather. And they have a back-to-back coming up, so I'm sure they're going to want some rested bodies as well.
I want to go back to your interview there with him, though, because you did ask about not only the teddy bears, but a separate donation that was being made by the Colorado Eagles players. Just what did you find out on that?
I found out that Jason Megna spearheaded it. He's the captain this year, so very familiar name and beloved in the organization.
Yeah.
And he rallied the team together to make this personal donation. And it wasn't something that any of the players shared with me. I learned behind the scenes, so I don't even think that they were attempting to advertise that aspect specifically.
Yeah.
They just did it for themselves because it meant a lot to them, because of how they feel about the community that they serve. They're playing hockey, but I think they do feel a greater obligation to pour back into the community that shows up and supports them every night.
Well, and I think that is, I'm not going to say more true, but I think it's especially true with the smaller communities, or Loveland. The Eagles do serve a little bit of a smaller community up there. There's a lot of diehard Eagles fans who can't either afford tickets to go down to the Avs or don't want to make, especially around game time, the hour, maybe even 90-minute trek down to Ball Arena, and then an hour trek back. Like, they do have a very dedicated, and I'll say smaller community than maybe what you talk about with the Colorado Avalanche, who, you go to any corner of the state and you have people who are diehard Avalanche supporters because they're within Colorado. You got diehard Avalanche supporters that are outside of the state. For teams like the Eagles, minor league teams, major junior teams, like those are small. They're usually in smaller cities, smaller communities. So I just love the fact that they're embracing that even more, because I do think it's, like I said, not more important, but I do really think that that's an important thing when you are talking about small markets.
It's such a great place to play too. You hear from guys who've played in other American League teams around the league before. I just did what you did with partners. And they say it's a great place to play. And you can see it. The fan support, it's an electric atmosphere. And I think the players really appreciate that too. And that's part of kind of returning some of that support that they receive.
Yeah. And I do believe we will have a longer form version of what you guys did and experienced on Teddy Bear Toss Night coming out at some point as well.
Yes, I'm so excited. We're going to be doing a little bit more with the Eagles this season too, including this upcoming weekend. It's actually their last home games before the new year. So we're going to get to send off the team in front of the home crowd before Christmas, before New Year. So it's kind of a nice endpoint before all the holidays get going. And I'm excited to check out Seven Brew.
Yeah.
We're going to be doing a live hit from there to talk a little bit about, it's a matinee game. So don't forget to set some alarms and come see us at Seven Brew Coffee. But I'm really excited to check it out. You were there and you found some coffees that you've loved already.
I did. And Megan, you and I have worked together for several years now, and you don't typically see me walking around with a coffee. I was just telling you last night, I had two when we were up at Seven Brew. And like Megan said, her and I will be there doing a live show along with our boss, Blake, who you hear us talk about a lot. So you can meet Blake. But we'll be up there at Seven Brew noon on Saturday. Megan and I will be live. We're hoping live. It's going to be very busy at Seven Brew that day.
Fair.
So if there's any internet issues, we'll just pre-record it, then go out. But I'm not even going to put that negativity out there. We'll be live at noon talking Avs, talking a little bit of Eagles, talking with the great folks from Seven Brew. I'm really looking forward to it. Weather's supposed to be nice. It's supposed to be like low 60s and sunny. So it should be nice. I'm knocking on wood, but I think we might luck out.
We had a few people who live in the area, Northern Colorado, reach out about it. So if you're not familiar with Seven Brew, it's a one-of-a-kind drive-through and walk-up experience with fast and friendly service that is waiting to serve you, from rich, bold coffee to refreshing energy drinks, smoothies, teas, and more. Seven Brew has you covered with over 20,000 flavor combinations. There's a perfect drink for everyone. I can't wait to find mine. At Seven Brew, they believe in cultivating kindness with every cup, and their fully customizable menu is just the beginning. Before you hit the road, power up with Seven Brew in Firestone. Come see us and experience the coffee revolution.
Yeah, power up while coming to see us. We'll be very powered up.
I haven't really led with this, but I'm so excited to try the smoothies very specifically because I love smoothies. I like coffee too, but the smoothies is calling me.
Well, and so when you see energy drinks on their menu, like your brain just goes, they're not, they're almost more like, what does Sonic call them? Like the slush? Yeah. It's almost kind of like more that texture. Blake got one just because he like couldn't help himself but to try it. And yeah, so they're very different. There's a lot of like when we got up there and I actually got to like see what the menu was, I was like, oh, this is even more fun than I was expecting. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
I am also looking forward to giving the Avs some Christmas gifts.
Ooh, all right.
When I pitched this show idea to you, I framed it as New Year's resolution and gifts. So we could kind of overlap too if you have more resolutions than gifts.
I've got, you went more literal with your gifts than I did. And I love that.
I'm so excited because you probably saw images of them.
Yes.
From Chloe.
Yes.
Let's react to the images first, and then we get the silliness maybe out the way off the top.
There's one that I was like, oh, I know where she's going with that. I don't know where you're going with any of the other ones.
I didn't think you would.
I'm excited. I've got one gift that I'm more convinced than ever that they're going to get. And I'll wait till my turn.
I love that.
But I don't have fun graphics for it or fun images for it.
That's okay because they're probably serious. Your gifts are probably more serious. I mean, mine are relatively serious. We'll get into it. All right. If
Oh, I just thought, well,
you can add
oh,
gifts on the fly.
I was gonna say,
There's no rule.
I might,
There's no rule. There's no budget.
I might add just like a, yeah.
But I kind of want to say we can't just say Gabriel Landeskog gets healthy. Look, we all want that for Christmas.
That is what I think they're gonna get. I do. I think that's one of the things that I do think. Not at Christmas.
I agree.
It's
I agree.
shipping delayed.
Shipping delayed.
But Megan, I've just got this. I've got a weird feeling that there's more going on behind the scenes than we know.
I don't think it's weird. I like it. I
I
support it. I believe in it too.
it's not the only gift that I got for them, but that was the one thing that, take it with a big grain of salt. But I do just what I'm hearing, what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
I just feel like there's a little bit more maybe going on behind the scenes than we know.
That last update was positive.
That was what set me off on a little bit of a tangent.
And it
Still
was
so much up in the air.
unprompted, too. It was kind of like, oh, they
Correct.
have been sitting on this.
Correct.
They didn't lead with this.
Correct.
So I like it.
So we'll see. But that is, we'll let them know it's
Christmas
under the
miracle.
tree and we don't know if they can open it yet. But we're putting it under the tree.
Shipping delayed is so real.
Yeah. Yes. And sometimes you just don't know how long that shipment delay is.
No, but if you can expect it in
Package lost.
2025,
Package lost. Hopefully they'll find it. How about that?
and they will. They just need a little bit of time.
There we go.
2025. All right. Can we flash the first image? It doesn't have to be in any particular
Oh,
order.
all right, perfect.
So we'll just okay, this one's kind of funny to lead with because it was more silly than any of the others. I just
Oh,
want,
really?
I
All right.
wanted-
Now I really can't wait.
I just want the apps to have fun together.
Oh, all right.
And so I wanted them to have something, an activity they could do. And I think it would be really wholesome for them to do karaoke together and sing.
See, I actually thought that this was I thought you were maybe complaining you don't like the wind song.
Oh, I still don't really know what it is. It's catchy.
It's a I'll find it. I have a picture of it. It's a remake of an older song. And I'm with you. I had never heard it.
Isn't
It's
it?
fun.
Wherever.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Isn't that Shakira?
but this one isn't.
But what a crazy remix.
Right.
And actually, I don't dislike their Win song. I love Shakira and or Shakira remixes, but I just want them to sing together. I think that
Whatever by Kygo and Ava Max.
okay.
I thought that's what that was my guess on the karaoke machine.
I feel like it's hard to replace Heat Waves because it just
For sure.
the late nights in the middle of June line in that song hit
Mhm.
so differently when
Well,
the playoff run came
And like
around.
the one last year was Michael Jackson.
Billie Jean.
Yeah.
it
Which
just-
I like Billie Jean's. It's a good song. Is it a win song
I
though?
don't know. But they can sing all of them on their new karaoke machine and have fun together
Love it.
because I think some levity is good around the room. You know, Jared Bednar talked about it. The guys who are just vocal, the yappers,
Mhm.
Josh Manson, Ross Colton. And when that's not in the lineup, you see how it's missed. And so
Yep.
I think just getting them more comfortable and singing together is great.
I love it. I love it. Let's go to the next one.
Let's do it. Okay.
Yeah, this was the one especially the way it was labeled. I have no idea what to think of this one.
This one is for Ross Colton specifically. It is a weighted anxiety stuffed animal, and I think it could help with separation anxiety from Miles Wood. I actually own one, and it is so lovely.
I do love a nice weighted, we have multiple weighted blankets, and I do love a nice weighted item.
It's a weighted item for Ross Colton to soothe his separation anxiety this Christmas.
Have you seen those weighted hoodies?
No?
Yes, they're made to be more normal. I don't think they're like 8 pounds,
Yeah.
but they're like a thicker material, and I really want one.
I'm curious. Like, could I work out and get a better workout wearing a weighted hoodie?
I mean, I imagine you'd be sweating quite a bit more.
Yeah, which is good, right?
Depends on what you're looking for, but yeah.
Depends on what you're looking for. All right, let's go to the next gift. This one.
This comment came up at the perfect time. Are you ready for QVC? Or you are ready for QVC? Yeah, what's this one?
This one's for Jared Bednar specifically.
Oh,
It is a relaxing spot hit. They're 2 points back of Dallas, fourth in the Central.
Yeah.
5-0 in their last 10. This has been a roller coaster of a season. I've seen a lot of criticism at different points roll in. Is he the right man for the job? Should he be in the hot seat? Everyone is entitled to their opinions, but I personally have so much belief in Jared Bednar. He has inherited such a difficult season that I think has exceeded expectation. We knew, all right, they're not going to start the year with Lehkonen. They're not going to have Landeskog, but the injuries to Jonathan Drouin, to Miles Wood, they've been pretty serious. They've missed significant time. It's just been more than anyone expected, and I think he is doing the best with the roster that he has, and I think they're sitting in a spot where there is still so much season left for the taking because of him.
No, I'm with you. I mean, you don't have to, you know me. I think the Avs are very lucky to have Jared Bednar. I think there's a lot that they've gone through over the last couple of seasons that if you had a less sure of themselves coach, you don't know if things go as well, potentially. You look around the league, how many teams have fired their coach, brought in what was supposed to be a great seasoned veteran tenured coach. And they've, again, I always make the argument, not because I don't think Pete DeBoer is a good coach. I think Pete DeBoer is a great coach. But for everyone that talks about how much of a better coach he is than Jared Bednar, that dude's been fired twice since they met in the playoffs a couple seasons prior to this last year. Pete DeBoer has been fired twice. Jared Bednar's won a Stanley Cup in that same window. So it's like the Avs understand what they have and they're holding on to it for a reason. But yes, it would be nice for him to be able to relax a little bit for a day.
I think so too. People need to get off his neck. That was dramatic.
Get off his neck.
Yeah, that was
Whoa.
literally like standing on. That's.
I thought you were going to say get off his back, neck. All right, I'm with it.
Jim Montgomery should be a cautionary tale. That's a
Yes.
great coach. I think it was Pasta who came out afterwards. Like, we lost a great man.
Yeah. And you've heard them. I think it was last year we talked to some of the players that said like he's not really the coach. He's a leader. He's kind of one of the boys.
Yeah.
They were saying, and this is on the record, so I can say this, that they'll catch him snooping around guys' stalls looking for, Zyn pouches or, whatever, or even just stuff like that. And he's more one of the boys than he is like the coach. But when he needs to be the coach and the leader, he knows how to do that. And I'm with you on Jim Montgomery. Were all the Boston Bruins problems fixed? No.
Girl, please.
No, they weren't.
All right, next gift.
See, this was the one that I was like, I know what that one is.
This one's easy, requires little explanation. They got sick. The whole team got sick. I'd like for them to get healthy.
Yeah, I love it. Straightforward. Yeah, love it.
Next gift.
Okay. This one also made sense to me.
Look, it's the too many men penalties. It's a lack of discipline and attention to detail. And this is part of a New Year's resolution for next year. They can't afford to be making those mistakes as a team and not in back-to-back games.
Not as often as they're doing it. Like, mistakes happen. You lose track of who's coming on the bench, who's going out. Like, that happens. It can't be every night.
No.
You can't be taking these every night in crucial moments. So I did lie to you before when I said that there was only one that I knew. I was able to figure out the math book as well. And the next one, I honestly don't know either.
I'm so excited. You'll know when I talk about it. You'll know. It's the John Tavares healing amulet.
Oh my God. What? Now I need a backstory on this.
Oh, you haven't heard?
No.
It's this amulet that was launched by a company backed by the actor Russell Brand.
Already isn't going well.
Russell Brand. And it's said to have healing properties because I'm going to read it off the website because I'm going to misquote it.
But hold on. You said John Tavares.
He's endorsed this item. He wears it. So
does he wear it just like regularly?
That's what I'm not sure. Like, I'm not sure if he's wearing it under his jersey or.
Well, but I mean, like, this isn't something he puts on like when he gets an injury. Like, oh, time to break out the amulet.
I want to say he wears it regularly.
Okay, that's better than him. Like, oh man, my My legs, my quads are bothering me. I better throw this amulet on.
It has something to do with Wi-Fi. This is where it gets a
This-
little bit
All right, you're losing me again.
strange.
Yeah, not you, them. The amulet people are losing me again.
But here's the thing, the Avs have nothing to lose, and because I said there was no budget, I want to outfit the whole team with the amulets because, well, it might not do anything, but what if it heals them?
Well, see, and that's what I'm saying. What does John Tavares think? Does John Tavares think this cures his injuries, or does John Tavares think that this just provides overall full body health?
I think it's overall full body health healing.
They're not
From
very
Wi-Fi
good
signals and evil energies.
Wait,
Honestly, I think we should all be
read
wearing
that again.
Wi-Fi signals,
And
evil energies.
evil, EVIL, or ethel?
Evil.
You can't be both Wi-Fi and evil energy. That's too wide of a range.
Feels like you have to suspend your disbelief here. Jesse. If it works for John, it could work for the Avs, or it won't.
Or is John Tavares being the one to be wearing it a cautionary tale of maybe don't wear this? He just had the captaincy stripped, folks. I'd maybe try a new amulet. That's just
It's
such
a new thing. I don't know.
Oh,
so
shit.
It's
All right.
like new. to
All right.
this.
Well, now I don't know what to think. I do think, from a marketing standpoint, Wi-Fi signals and evil spirits, that's a pretty broad range. But I love that you're being thoughtful.
Yeah, I mean, it's not my money. It's all hypothetical. So everybody's getting one.
I did throw one image of my own in for a gift. Let's get him a fresh paint job here on the masks. Both goalies
Love
heading into
this.
San Jose. I don't know if Mackenzie Blackwood's going to be out there in a Sharks mask playing against the Sharks. As much as I love Scott Wedgwood's Wolverine mask, the yellow does clash pretty hard.
Definitely.
I do find it's a little bit funny that like the two goalies he traded for came from two teams with like such harsh color differences, yellow and teal, that like there's no getting around it. So a fresh paint job for each of the goaltenders would be just what they need for Christmas.
I think that's an excellent gift. And I saw how quickly Georgiev turned around his San Jose mask. So I'm like,
It's a sticker.
oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And it's the same brand that does it. Because if you actually go look at Eustace in his first game with the Preds, they actually had the same mask design, just with slight variations of the number and then the overall colors. But yes, it's a certain company that does it. There's stickers that the teams can print that just go right over top of the paint job. But it did make me sad because Georgie has such a nice paint job that now just got stickered over top of.
Yeah, it was the unique one, right? That he dabbled in a different artist for.
Yeah, yeah. But Eustace already actually got his new Dave Art mask. We saw it the other day. Yeah. It's brand new, all finished up. I do think the Avs goalies have some coming.
Yeah, you had some photo.
Yeah. Dave Art did post that he was getting ready to ship out 2 Avalanche masks as of a few days ago. He's over in Europe, so it takes a couple days for them to get here. But he does turn them around quick. But yeah, Georgie got the Sharks sticker on there first night. And then he already had all white pads, so it made it easy.
Hey, yeah.
Very
versatile.
Yes, I did feel bad because when I first tweeted that out at the beginning of the season that he had all white pads, everyone's immediate response was, "Oh, well, good. He can play for any team now," and that ended up being accurate.
Well for him.
Yeah. But yeah, it'd be nice to see. I really am. I'm hoping Scott Wedgwood does Deadpool just in like a burgundy. To replace Wolverine.
I think that'd be really cool. A new character?
Superhero. Yeah.
Superhero? I was gonna say superhero, but I was like, is he?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, then I think Dave Art does really cool stuff. He does seem to be running low on ideas for Avalanche goalies. So I would love to just see something fresh and something new and not the jagged silver mountains down the side.
I think it'd be funny if they put a teammate on their mask, like Nathan McKinnon.
Yeah, well, Because Scott Wedgwood has a little bit of a history of doing
Yeah,
that.
he put Otter on his mask.
And Jason Robertson.
I was saying that silly, but now I mean it real.
Yeah,
That's cool.
He put them both in there. So, like, I always like Frankie always had great masks, like Bernie sledding down,
Yeah, I like that.
a hill and things like that. And I really like both of Georgiev's masks from this year, the giant Yeti head and then the kind of like pop art style one that he just had. So I want to see them do something new because it did just feel like the design that Darcy Kemper had. I don't know if you can remember it. It just feels like that's the design for every Avs goalie.
Well, and I don't
one.
remember it. And I think that says a little bit about where the newness and freshness would be really welcome here.
It was very similar to Grubauer's. It was very similar to Kakinen's for a day.
Isn't it crazy to think that the Avs had interest in the former San Jose tandem at in some timeline? They could have existed here together. I don't think I would have hated that, to be honest. Nothing against Scott Wedgwood.
No.
I love him.
I think they landed in a good spot, but you do play a little bit of the what if game of had you passed Annunen through waivers, would he have been claimed?
Yeah, and you'd still have Annunen in the pipeline. I think the opportunity in Nashville is better for him personally.
Right. I do ultimately think it was as nice as it would have been for the Avs to keep Kakinen. I do think everyone ended where they were supposed to.
I agree. And before we drive off into the new year with our New Year's resolutions, this segment is brought to you by our friends over at Landmark Lincoln.
Wow,
all the new 2024 Lincoln Corsair GT plug-in
That was such a good segue that I didn't even catch it.
I was trying to go slow, all right, we got a video, don't we? Go to landmarklincoln.com to see the latest offers and incentives and see if you qualify for no payments for up to 90 days. Again, that's landmarklincoln.com, the #1 Lincoln dealer in Colorado.
Megan, that was so smooth. Like I said, I was waiting for I was like, drive off already. Oh my gosh, we are driving off in a new Landmark or in a new Lincoln, aren't we? Those year-end tax incentives right there on the screen right now. That's unbelievable. It's hard to find that anywhere where that's not only being offered, but openly advertised. Hey, we want to help you shave some money off these cars. Go check out our friends over at Landmark Lincoln. I actually think that you and I are heading over there at some point soon.
That'd be awesome.
Yes, to go
undercover. Yes. Ross Colton and test drive a vehicle.
We're gonna go do some test drives. Just hang out with our friends over there at Landmark. They are great. But make sure to check them out.
And check out our New Year's resolutions.
Yes.
I think this is maybe a little more serious from the gift giving, though there were real reasons behind some of those gifts, maybe except for the amulet one. The first one was the too many men penalties, but it's more specifically discipline. I want to see them eliminate offensive zone penalties. That's not considering the last game where they were in their own end. It's an attention to detail issue on the whole. And they're professionals and they're too good of a team to be getting caught up in that. And especially if it boils down to a lack of attention to detail, that is something that I want to see them embrace in the new year, being detail oriented and disciplined.
As you go through life, you meet people, you work for people, you work alongside people who will shape you in certain ways or drop little tidbits of knowledge along the way. I had one boss in particular. He wasn't a transformative figure in my life for me, but probably once a month, Megan, I don't know if he lived them or if he stuck to it, but he would just drop these little nuggets where you're like, wow, that is something I'm going to kind of hold on to. And I remember there was I believe it was a January 1, maybe January 2, depending on what the holiday days off were at that job. Where he got up and he said, we're going to go through the morning huddle a little bit slower today. And we're going to go through and everyone's going to talk a little bit. You don't have to give your resolution, but he said there is something cleansing about the calendar flipping over to a new year. Whether you are someone who embraces it, whether you pay super close attention to the holidays, whether your job gives you the days off, whatever, if you're into astrological signs, like whatever it is, I agree. There is something just naturally cleansing about the calendar flipping from one year to the next. It allows you to leave everything behind and start anew for the most part.
I agree.
And I think the Avalanche need to leave 2024 behind.
I do too. I think that lends itself to some other resolutions down the line, but they've been like embroiled in battle against themselves because of the injuries specifically. And I think that they have been too caught up in the whirlwind of what I'm calling battle, shields up, swords out, swords drawn. The dust has actually settled a little bit. They don't necessarily need to stop the battle, but at least the internal one. They've got to battle now with the rest of the league. I feel like they've gotten a little bit away from their identity of who they are and why they're special specifically because of all the buzz around injuries all year. It's just in their ears constantly. Bad news, just trying to get healthier, being asked every night about guys stepping up in the absences that are just overwhelming this team. And I think they just need to get back to themselves. I'll wait a little bit for that one if you want to share your next resolution.
Well, no, that's just my thing is that you've had, I think you said it perfectly. 2024 has been a tough year for the Avs. Everything with Gabe, everything with Val, the goalie tandems. It's been a year of distractions. And I just think that the Avs would be doing right by themselves. Not even necessarily this isn't necessarily a particular resolution, but to take advantage of the calendar flipping from 24 to 25 and just saying, we're leaving all that in the past. We're leaving the delay of games and too many men penalties in the past. We're leaving the inconsistency in the past, and we are getting back on track. New, fresh mindset, fresh set of guys. We know what our goal is. We know what our objectives are, and we're going to have some more clarity than we had in all of 2024, and we are moving forward. That's what I think the Avs need to do with the new year.
I agree. I have it listed here as reevaluating self-concept. Who do I want to be this year? Who do I want to be this year? And I remember Logan O'Connor, some point last year off-season time frame, talked about, it was the summertime after he'd been pretty rehabbed already from his injury, putting the league on notice. Like, we want to remind the league that we're still here. We're still this dominant and competitive Avs team. And a lot of people looking at the lineup going into the year underestimated what they'd be capable of this year. And I think that motivated someone like Logan O'Connor, let them underestimate us. And I think the start of this year, to your point, has been filled with so much noise that they haven't really been able to put the league on notice as to who they are. And some of that is out of their hands because there have been so many injuries. They have not quite been themselves. But you said this a little earlier, the dust is settling, and this is who they are right now. Yeah. And there are some reinforcements, but this is a pretty close picture to what they are. And so I want to see them decide who they want to be going into 2025 and work towards putting the league on notice and remind the league who the Avs are, because that core is still intact. There are so many qualities to, it's not a team that I think has an identity crisis. I think they've just been buzzing around so much that they haven't had a chance to sit with themselves and fully execute and enact what this Avalanche team needs to be. And I think that's a goal for 2025.
Well, and to further that, on the daily this morning, I was talking about the Nuggets, and they were down for the fourth time this season, Megan. The Denver Nuggets were down by 10 points or more with 6 minutes or less remaining and came back to win 4 times. It's not insignificant, given the amount of time left, the deficit, things like that. And I made the point on the show. I said, that to me sounds like the hallmark of a team who isn't quite sure what it is. Because it's clear they've got the ability to step on the gas and just run away with stuff late in games when they want to, or when they feel like it's time to turn it on. And I feel like we've seen the same thing from the Avs this year. When the Avs decide to flip that switch and and gear things up, they're near unstoppable.
The New Jersey game.
The New Jersey game's a great example. They've been sprinkled in throughout this entire season. And then you have games like what we saw last night, where it's just like a dud. And that to me is a team, relative to what you're talking about, who's trying to figure out what this iteration of themselves are. I think the core is still rightfully, I'm not saying this as a criticism, is still holding on to who they were when they were Stanley Cup champions 2 years ago.
Yes.
And I think they're trying to figure out how do we assimilate all these new pieces that we have from the last handful of seasons now, 2-3 seasons now, into who we are. And I think they're still trying to figure out how to do that. So I think what you said is a great one. I think that they need to figure out who this version of the Avalanche are.
I love that. This one's pretty straightforward, but stronger starts. I want to see them embrace stronger starts. Even with the change in goaltending, which has drastically improved this, they're still the second most allowed goals in the first period of any team with 114 for the season.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't seem right. Maybe.
The only team with what?
There's definitely the second most allowed goals, but 114 in the first period feels a little bit crazy.
I do think that's right.
That's crazy.
Unfortunately.
Looking even at last night, 1 goal coming out of that first period.
They have 114 goals against total.
Total. Okay.
Yes.
But still second most allowed goals in the first period. 114 goals total makes way more sense than exclusive to the first period. But either way, we kind of talked about it with our analysis of the game last night. Mackenzie Blackwood gave them a chance after the first period. They didn't lose that game in the first period. So there is work to be done on their end, but they need to continue to embrace stronger starts because it puts them in a better position to win. Whether they do too little, too late is still kind of up to them, but they were losing games in the first period previously. I want to see them leave that in the 2024.
How about a day off? How about that for the Colorado Avalanche? They lead the league in games played at 33, and like the schedule just does not lighten up ever. I do think that they're getting one additional day off this week, upcoming week for Christmas than most other folks. So I'm sure there will be a game made up there. But this has been a crazy condensed schedule. And I know it is for a lot of teams with 4 nations in February, but this has felt uncharacteristically fast for a start for the Avs. Over the last number of seasons, keep in mind, we had 3 straight seasons where either they participated in a global series or there was a global series event planned for them. So for the last 3 years, potentially even 4, they've had a very light October, November. And then it started to pick up in December. And then it gets really busy going into the new year. This year, it's just been a sprint out of the gates. And so I think a day off would be another nice resolution for these guys. And that one's kind of sarcastic, but
no, that the rest that this team has needed all year that they haven't had the benefit of because they've been injured too.
Yep.
It's really demanded a lot of them. And that's why my next one
real fast before you move on, just because this comment came in. This is the most underrated thing about playing in Denver. And football's a little bit different because it's 1 game a week and you can travel multiple days before. But hockey, basketball, and baseball. Go look at a map for proximity of teams relative to the Avs, Nuggets, and Rockies. Thankfully, the NHL, they with moving Arizona to Utah, technically got someone a little bit closer. But I'm fairly certain, and I'd have to double check this just to, the Avs, I believe, are the league leaders in miles flown every year. If they aren't the leader, they are top 3 every year. But it is not difficult to get places from Denver, but you do not have the small, quick little flights like you do for the California teams, or especially for the Northeast teams, or even the Southeast teams. There's a lot of teams right in one small area. You can drive from San Jose to Anaheim in 5 hours. You can drive from Sunrise, Florida to Tampa Bay in 3 hours. You can take a 90-minute train from Philadelphia to New Jersey and then up to New York. Like, it's very easy to get around for a lot of teams. The Avs fly a lot of miles every year.
I know how tired I get from travel days. I can't imagine the schedule that they have to follow.
Even with, like, everyone always likes to say, oh, well, they get the nicest hotels and they don't have to go through.
Fly more direct.
Right. And they don't have to go through security. That is all nice. But shifting time zones, flying in general takes a lot out of you. We went to an Avs practice, what was that, last week, 2 weeks ago? That was at 9 a.m. because they had to get to the airport because they were flying to the East Coast. They left at I think like 1:30. They were all getting in their hotels past dinner time. Like it's just the travel is really, really tough. Travel's really tough for teams in Colorado.
It's an understated.
Totally. Sorry, I didn't mean to fully interrupt you. I saw that comment. I just want to make sure that we gave
No worries.
some air to it.
No,
Yeah.
it's a valid thing to consider too. The other thing is learning to accept help. I'm looking at the Avs top 6 specifically. I think a lot of pressure is rightfully placed on them because they are paid to be and have demonstrated that they are some of the best in the league. But I think sometimes they overcompensate for feeling like they need to do everything on the team. And my next resolution actually directly relates to this, but I think they need to learn to accept help, or at least embrace that this is a team effort. And they have played some of their best when they've gotten contributions from everybody and when they've worked very much together. When they've tried to be a hero, which I know I was calling for last night, but I mean like specifically on ice, individually tried to make something happen, I think is when they are prone to making mistakes, which is why my next resolution is for the bottom 6 to hone their craft. It's time to level up. I like to look at a new year as an opportunity to make myself better as well. And I think at the beginning of the year, for players like Parker Kelly, who were never supposed to be third-line centers in Colorado, there was an element of just needing to eliminate mistakes. I don't want to make mistakes. There was a fear of making mistakes. I think that the bottom 6, generally, especially that third line, has become very responsible defensively.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have to worry about that as much anymore. Not in terms of abandoning details, but I do want to see them try to add a little bit of skill back into the bottom 6 and pose more of a scoring threat. And that's going to be honing their craft a little bit. And I don't know how that looks for them specifically, but I think that's what would ultimately help the Avs top 6 to learn to accept help if the bottom 6 can hone their craft a little bit.
I'm going to combine that resolution with 2 other resolutions that we already brought up. Leaving the past behind and deciding who you are. I think the last 3 years have led to the Avs core feeling like they need to do it all. I think back to a conversation I had with an Avs player 2 seasons ago in the locker room near the end of the season. And they said, man, look, I'm no disrespect towards some of these guys, but we were going through some of the power play film from earlier in the season. Jean-Luc Foudy was out on power play 1, and they went through and listed a few different guys that were, playing key roles for them. And I just think, going back to what we were saying about the distractions and so much off ice stuff, that it has felt at times like, hey, Nathan McKinnon, you need to go be exceptional tonight.
Right.
Hey, Mikko Rantanen, you need to score 50 this season. Hey, Cale McCarr, you need to be the best defenseman in the league every single night.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're just not going to survive. And they've done that. And so trusting that depth a little bit more and putting more responsibility on them. I look at something like the power play, giving that second unit more of a look. If the top unit isn't clicking, that's all right. You know what I mean? That's okay if that's part of your identity. So I'm with you.
One of my notes is to be special on special teams and take pride in the personnel on both special teams. I'm really keying in on the power play because I still kind of like where the penalty kill is at. I think their ability is there, that I'm not sweating it as much as I'm sweating the power play right now. They're in a little bit of a funk. And you have special players on your second unit too. And I think, to your point, trusting a little bit of the talent that is there and abandoning any sort of ego in it too, having some humility that sometimes the top unit does fall into a funk. Do whatever is needed to restart that. It might be a little unconventional, but it's temporary, and you just need results at this point. It doesn't mean you never return to the top 5 guys that are always on it every year. It's just not working right now specifically, and you have some special players to choose from. It should be working. So maybe be a little unconventional and be special.
The chat brought it to my attention, Megan. Your New Year's resolution from last year was to be worse. And I just went and looked it up, and it is 100% accurate.
It was a personal goal. And I achieved it, you guys.
I saw that, and I was like, I got to go confirm this.
I actually didn't understand what vaguely said Megan. Your Insta.
Well, so and then because I saw the same thing, I was like, oh no, did you get hacked or something?
Or like, am I sitting here touching buttons and
live with it just like muffled your voice? And your laugh? And then I paired it with post from last year was to be worse, and I was like, oh, those are probably the same thing. And so I went and found your New Year's post from last year.
I am the kind of person who feels like you can level up at any time of year also. So I'm constantly trying to level up, but also I did lie.
Sometimes you got to level down a little bit. Keep yourself humble.
You got to get worse.
Yeah, sometimes you got to get worse before you can get better. Oh,
Be
man.
special. Power play. Any thoughts?
No. All
right.
No notes.
Next one, challenging self-limiting beliefs. I'm looking at Casey Middlestat. I don't think that he has self-limiting beliefs specifically, but I liked in an interview where he was asked about playing with someone like Nathan MacKinnon and what you can learn from that. And he talked about there are things that Nathan MacKinnon does that nobody else can do.
Mm-hmm.
There are also things Nathan MacKinnon does that I can do. And I really liked the energy behind that comment. And I want to support that and enable that from Casey Middlestat to see, well, what can you do like Nathan MacKinnon? I want to see it. And he obviously had a little bit of a rut recently, and it seemed like having Ross Colton come back into the lineup helped to give him a little bit of confidence. It seemed too like once he got out of that pointless streak rut, there was obvious confidence in his game. And so I just want to continue to see him trending on that path. I don't know, they're not healthy right now, but I don't want to make many more excuses for Casey Middlestat. He was signed as a longer-term 2C option, and I want to see him grow into that. He is a young player too, and so I think there's still some learning that's happening there, but I have a lot of belief in him that there's a reason he was signed to that contract. He kind of changed Ross Colton's trajectory in doing so. That's a huge amount of faith that the organization has in him, and I just want to make sure that he has it in himself too.
Well, and you do wonder how much he does not question himself, but you were in Buffalo for so long. And we're seeing what's happening in Buffalo right now. Like there's very clearly a culture of, oh well, another bad season. The owner and GM just met with the team, and I'm not gonna bury them for saying don't expect any trades. You're not gonna trade your way into a solution there in Buffalo. So I'm not gonna criticize them for that, but they were like, no, hey, we believe in you guys. Go out there and get them. And it's just like, yeah. I think you do have to break out of that of being okay with just being average. I think the way you put it, I've got to tell you right now, Megan, I am so impressed with how many quality New Year's resolutions you've been able to come up with. Not just score more goals, challenging, self-limiting beliefs. That's a New Year's resolution we should all take home.
I hope that we can all learn from this. Except
I'm learning
for the
a lot.
Healing amulet. I think there's so much.
I am pretty anti-healing amulet. I will say that.
I will not be getting one. And now, Stacy put it in the chat too. Let's lean on science a little bit more. And I'm like, yeah, maybe I shouldn't even be giving it to them. From the attitude of what do they have to lose? Maybe a lot. I don't know. So no more healing amulet. It's been nixed.
Has it been vetoed in the chat?
It's been vetoed. All right. Early on, I'm just, following back. But there's a lot of really good stuff here for everyone.
That's what I'm saying. Every time do you have any more?
I do.
How many more do you have?
2.
I'm blown away impressed. Let's hear them.
All right.
I'm sure they're going to be good.
The next one is pretty straightforward.
Well, now you've lost my confidence with the way that you just said that.
No, it's leaning into personal strengths, which is similar to remember who you are.
Okay. Wait, what was the resolution?
Leaning into personal strengths.
Okay.
The strengths of this.
Are you writing these down for me? I need to take these home.
Are their speed, their pace. And I feel like I haven't seen it on display. It's not that they are not slow. It's just the way that they can take over games is in utilizing their speed and their pace to just completely take over and give teams no room to counter what they're doing. I think there's an Avs team that we've seen a lot this year, so afraid to make mistakes that sometimes the speed feels like you're more prone to making mistakes. Mm-hmm. I don't want to see them abandon that in the new year. I want to see them re-embrace that as what makes them different from other teams. And I think there's, conversations about have the Avs become too predictable in some of the execution on the power play, but I think their speed is still such a strength of this team that it doesn't matter if teams are anticipating what they're going to do. They can't match their speed.
Well, Megan, how many times have I, whether it be on the show or while we're just watching a game together, have I told you, like, I don't get why they're going away from Nathan MacKinnon being the one-man zone entry that he is, especially on that power play. Everyone has an issue with the slingshot play. You know who the two best players, maybe two of the best three, if you put Connor McDavid in there, at that play? It's Cale Makar and Nathan MacKinnon. Because the idea behind that play is supposed to be Cale Makar comes up to the neutral zone and you have to treat him as a threat. You've got to back off, and that allows Nathan MacKinnon to hit the neutral zone with speed. And for what felt like multiple years, the vast majority of times, Nathan MacKinnon would gain the blue line, get into the zone, curl back, and then would reset the puck out high, and they'd establish a zone. I agree with you. I feel like they've gotten away from that, and it's tried to be more like tricky at the blue line and coming to the neutral zone. It's like, no, lean into your strength. Use that straight line speed.
Yes.
Get the zone.
Yes.
And so I totally get where you're coming from, because I actually feel like, because there's people who are like, oh, I feel like the Avs have gotten too predictable. My issue is I think they're overthinking it. I think they're trying to, like, well, we don't want to be predictable. It's like, why? When no one can stop it, what does it matter if they know it's coming?
When no one can stop it. That's what it is. This team is so fast, no one can stop it. And they need to remember that.
Yeah.
And lean into that as a strength.
I'm with you.
All right, we're looking far ahead into January for what the Avs need to consider. But let's look even further ahead.
Okay.
Into February. How would you like to get through the holidays without having to make your mortgage payment?
She got me twice.
Go to trustedamerican.com to see how they can help to refinance your home and not make any payments until February. Trusted American salary-based mortgage consultants want to help you get into a better interest rate and lower your monthly payments. And right now, they will cover the cost of your appraisal. A $650 value.
Huge.
Go to trustedamerican.com or scan the QR code on the screen to see how much money they can save you today.
You got me twice on the ad reads. I'm retiring from ad reads. I'm taking all of your resolutions and I'm retiring from ad reads because you got me twice. I love it.
And there is still one more resolution to end the show.
Okay.
This one is setting boundaries. This specifically for the Avs, protect the net front, clear pucks, and punish players who decide to go there. Don't get caught chasing in your own end. Command the play and protect the house.
You and I have talked so many times about this team is so much harder to play against than they get credit for.
100%.
And what you're talking about, I feel like, is when they stray away from being hard to play against.
It is.
And it's a decision that they make. Not that they like don't care or don't want to get involved, but it's a decision that they make that they're not as hard in front of the net, pushing guys out, and they don't demand that ice, and they don't again, like Nico Sturm told us, they're not always in your hip pocket finishing every check. And when they're doing that, they're fast, they're mean, they're tough to handle, they can score goals, they can defend. And so I really like that one. And I feel like it ties back to something you talked about earlier in the show. Get back to basics.
Yes.
Get back to basics. Go to the front of the net on offense. Clean up some of the garbage around the net. Keep that out. Keep the garbage out in front of your own and protect the house. They're at their best when they're doing that. And I feel like it's still too much of the what will we get tonight. I love it.
Yep. Defend the blue line. Make those entries a little more challenging. And then protect the house. I love the concept, too, of being more difficult to play against, especially than they get credit for. I think they've done this at points this year, and it's been some of their more successful games. And when they stray away from it a little bit, they take the collapsing D structure a little too seriously and abandon their assignments. They expose themselves, and then they're trying to catch up with the play because they're behind the curve. And that's not like them. It's structurally not really what they're supposed to be doing either. It's like they're taking something a little too literally there. And that is accidentally.
Yeah. I thought that was good.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Sorry.
If you're listening to the audio pod, Megan accidentally, in a quote, accidentally became important at work and it's ruined my life moment with the ad reads.
That is adorable. But so is setting boundaries. Like the Avs should consider. It would be the most adorable thing for them to do in 2025 to remind the league who they are again. Like it all goes back to that central theme of, all right, the dust has settled a little bit.
Yeah.
The injury noise of this year has been constant, and the
Mhm.
goaltending noise
Yeah.
is constant. A lot of that has died down. It's not completely eliminated, but it's died down. And so it's an important time to look in the mirror and remember who they are and establish it and go out and be that.
I'm with you. Couldn't have said it any better myself. I'm
And-
positive of that.
Any final thoughts?
No, I think
You guys are funny in the chat.
yeah, I know. Yeah, I
You-
kind of turn away
Yeah,
from it.
I keep getting too distracted.
No, Megan, I do think that ultimately, I said it last night on the show. You got to get the results. You can't give away these last 3 games by any means. But I do think it's important for the Avs to get through to the Christmas break. And then while there's not a break, it's just any other day. I think they play on New Year's Eve. Embrace the changeover of the year. Embrace the changeover of the calendar. Take all of this stuff that you've talked about and work towards it. Identify who you are. Build an identity around this version of the Avs.
I love it. And they've got work to do because we gave them some grace.
Yep.
But this back-to-back coming up is important. They need to answer for a dud of a game.
Well, and one last thing with the new year, to me, all of the, you got to survive with the injuries. That kind of ends at the new year. You're into crunch time. You're at the halfway point. You got to go.
This is your team.
Yes.
It probably will look a little different nightly, but not so different that it's an excuse anymore.
Right. This is your team. They've made the trades. They've made the moves. You got to go do it now.
Well, that's all we have for you in this Off Ice show for a Tuesday. We'll be back with some coverage coming from
Yes.
Anaheim and San Jose.
Both. Yes.
Incredible, Jesse. We'll be going back on the road, so we will be getting locker room interviews in that back-to-back and the Georgiev revenge game.
What we said last night. That was why we said last night was important, because you just don't know what you're going to get.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.